Hi everyone, it's Kay from the Paper Shed. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me again today. I'm back with an event from Junk Journal Fix with Sunflower Indoors, and it's the White Rose Detective Agency Chapter 2, The Case of the Peculiar Butler. Wow. Chapter 1, a few years ago, I think it was about a year ago, was amazing. I actually didn't take part in the event last year. I did have all of the papers. I printed everything off, and then unfortunately we had to move apartments, so I never got round to being fully into the event last year. So I've completed my journal for last year, and this is it. There's lots of things that I would change. I didn't do an absolutely fantastic job. I only used the kit. I didn't use anything else, and yeah, it's just turned out great. So I'd like to do a flip through of that first, and then we'll get on to the chapter 2 event. So I sort of wanted, my idea really was I wanted to create a sort of file, a folder, and if I'd have thought about it properly, I would have made this a lot longer so that I could have had a focal point on the front. I sort of ruined it by making it too short. And then what I did wrong was I put my magnets on too far down in my piece so that when it closes, it sort of leaves a flap, which is why I've had to add this sort of red sari silk for a tie. It does close, but it doesn't stay closed because the pressure's not there enough. It needed to be much lower on my piece here so that it could have come further over. But as I said, I think I would have put my flap over more like a file folder, proper file folder. But I did it out of a paper bag, so it's quite flexible and crunchy. I did mine on elastics and put my White Rose Detective Agency sign here. So I'm quite happy with some of it. I managed to get hold of some little white roses, which I've sort of put on the cover as well. And I've got hundreds of them, so you'll be seeing quite a few of those throughout the next one. And a little dangle there on my cluster tab, which I love. So we open it up and we have this sort of, I only did 3 signatures. So my first signature really was the storyline. Can you see it okay? Was the storyline. So I sort of cut the pieces out and sort of tried to show the story throughout. I put tabs on for when the story changes. So this was all the history of how the White Rose Detective Agency came about with Watson and Tuppence and Libby, and some pictures of a mother and her grandmother who were detectives as well, which is just such a fabulous story. Rose did an amazing job doing the storyline. It's just fantastic, and I'm sure the next one's going to be equally as good. So I made sort of use of all the cards and the tags, and I just did some rose, stenciling on the back. So the storyline just continues all the way through, really. So the only part of it that was, how can I put it, for journaling really was the cards. So I haven't really left much room for journaling anywhere else. This was the paper that registered the murder, and then obviously that's the storyline to the murder itself. And then we sort of went on to a double page here with some pictures. Nice belly band there holding some of the cards. And then I did a few pages with writing space, and that was the first signature. Now the second signature was to do with all of the suspects, which was fantastic. I just loved the story, and this is just the way that it flows all the way through. This was all the evidence that was collected and clues. I did the centerpiece, which was just full of pockets and tags and other stuff to write on. And then I did some journaling space there with more pockets for holding the cards for journaling on, and then some more journaling spaces. Another belly band, and this one has sort of little circular pockets on it for more journaling space. Same here, I did left these as pockets as well, and these are the envelopes for you to be able to put things in. More journaling space, more pockets filled with journaling space, and that was the end of 2. And then I did this sort of, my idea sort of didn't really work with it. I did this sort of bit here, which I wanted a closure on, which I haven't decided what I want to tie it up with yet. But this sort of opens up to give you the investigation. So this is the pocket for more journaling space. And then this was the investigation and solving all the mystery behind it all. And I just thoroughly enjoyed doing this one. It was just such a good story that I just couldn't leave it out, really. And yeah, so I did lots and lots of the storyline in this one. Lots of other journaling spaces as well. And case solved. And then it's just got a couple of a journaling spot here and a couple of more journaling spaces there for you to add your thoughts. And then this was the storyline that was written on the tags, and I've just put those in the back of here. So this one closes because that's the solved case there. So I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. There's lots of things, like I said, that I would change. Not too much, but I think I would add more into it this time. I thoroughly enjoyed making it, and it's perfect. I just love it. So we're going to move on this week to the event. So I'm just going to go over a few pointers. This is not for the faint-hearted, but it's going to be so much fun. So in true Junk Journal Fix style, grab your favourite craft supplies, dust off your glue stick and dive in. We can't wait to see what creative magic you bring to this exciting event. For this month's mega challenge, firstly, we need to say a massive, massive thank you to our very own Rose Vining for crafting another amazing story filled with mystery, intrigue and suspense. This event will tap into your creativity, keep you guessing, and you'll end up with a fabulous, unique journal at the end, plus over 100 digitals to use again and again, which is a bonus. At the end of the event, for those who have posted their makes and use the hashtag the White Rose Detective Agency Chapter 2, you'll be entered into a giveaway for the chance to win some great prizes. You will get one entry per post. Make sure each post is a different make, but can be multiple makes for each week's challenge. In other words, the more you post of different makes, the more entries you'll get into the giveaway. And the prizes are absolutely fantastic. Mandy's done an amazing job with this and getting it all sorted. So the prizes, there's 5 altogether. There'll be one prize of a £25 either Etsy or Amazon voucher. Prize 2, or the second prize, will be £15 Etsy or Amazon voucher. 3 will be 3 kits from Mandy's Etsy. 4 will be 2 kits from Mandy's Etsy, and the 5th prize will get 1 kit from Mandy's Etsy. So make sure you upload those pictures or videos of all of your makes by the 7th of June, and we will draw the winner on the 9th of June. Winners will have 1 week to get in touch with Mandy to claim their prize. So let's just go over the event. So the event itself will be run over 5 weeks of May and a little bit into June. You'll follow the clues to find out who did it and how they did it, and we'll provide you with digitals each week to help you build your story. So week 1 is running from the 5th to the 9th of May. And yes, I am reading from a script. I couldn't possibly take in all of the information, so you'll just have to bear with me. If you want to fast forward because you know all of this, then that's fine. So we'll guide you through the event, helping you to design your journal cover and show you how to create signatures. Week 2, which is running from the 12th to the 16th, we'll delve into the mystery of the murder and unravel the drama surrounding it. Week 3 is running from the 19th to the 23rd and will provide you into the minds of the suspects and uncover their hidden motives. Week 4, which is running from the 26th to the 30th of May, will investigate some suspicious activities and witness the sleuths in action. Week 5, which is running from the 2nd of June to the 6th of June, get ready for the grand reveal. We'll solve the murder mystery, and for those who want to dig deeper, we'll tie up all the loose ends. So, week 1, let's get started. So, this week is all about getting your cover and your signatures ready for your next few weeks. From last year, and based on the storyline, we would suggest 4 to 5 signatures. But you do you. If you don't want 4 or 5 different signatures, you can put several things into one signature. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. We'll provide ample pages for your signatures, but we encourage you to add your personal touch and use any materials you have at hand. Hold on with the sewing in of your signatures just yet, as we'll be releasing new spreads each week if you'd like to include them. Another option is to simply cut and glue the pieces you want into your existing signature pages. We've added some links to examples of how to put together a journal cover in case you need some little inspiration or want to check out something a little different to what you usually do. I'll tag those all down below because Mandy's done a load of YouTube videos that will be helpful. There's quite a few on Mandy's, different styles of different journals, and there's a couple from myself, which is a soft journal and a hard journal. We're going to get started with a story now. There is a little bit of a storyline from the beginning, from week 1, and it is only a tiny bit, but we will be covering that in the journal making of today. So what I tend to do when I'm starting a project is I'll go around my I get my kit sorted first, and then I get my products sorted, which is I've chosen these. I cut out what I need, so I've got all of these bits in here, which is all from the first week's kit. I cut it all out ready. I found a stamp with a rose on. I've got another stamp here with a bit of writing on, a postage mark, and other for correspondence, which I thought may be quite good for the investigation. I've also pulled out a few charms that I might want to use. I've also got my Timmy Holtz rose stencil, which I may use again because I used that in the first one. So I go around my craft room and I find lots and lots of bits and pieces that may or may not suit what I'm doing. And it's just so that I can have an idea. It reminds me that I've got certain things like washi tape, coloured ribbon, lots of other things that I think that I could incorporate. I may not use them all, but I just like it there so that I've got choices. Then I decide on what sort of cover I'm going for. Now this time I'm actually going to make a proper journal. I sort of want to do a writing journal with the mystery inside of it. That's my thought process at the moment. So I'm going with a hard cover. So I've got my 2 boards here. Now you don't need this board. If you haven't got this board, just double up on some cardboard packaging, cereal boxes. Double it up so that it's fairly thick. Now I think this is 2 mil. It might only actually be 1.5. It's 1.5. So it's about 1.5 mil thick, but I'm going to go with I'm doing that because I want a fabric cover. I've cut my signatures out, and this is my fabric that I'm going to use. Sorry, turn it around so that you can actually see it. And I've just gone with like a newsprint. I would have liked like a nice pretty rose type material, but I haven't got any. So I just thought I'd go with this. I'd had this already. Now this is non-directional because it's all over the place. So there's some upside down bits, there's some up the right way, there's some on the side. So I thought this would be great because I don't have to overthink my material. So I've got all my supplies ready. I've cut out my signature covers, which are just double-sided. I will need to ink because I had a bit of a dilemma because some of my prints printed with whiteboard around, and then when I did the other side, turned my papers over and then redid it, they printed full page. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go over doing the signature. Now I prefer to make my signature first and then do my journal cover to make sure that these will fit. I've done it several times where I've done my journal cover first and they don't always fit afterwards and I have to cut too much down. But because this is set out in a certain way and the way that it prints all out, I need to have as much of this paper as possible. So I want to do it that way so that I can get my covers to fit in. So these boards are actually A5, and I think that they will fit fine in there. I've got a bit top and bottom because I had to cut those white edges off. So I think I'm okay. So what I'm going to do is do the one signature first, and then go on to the cover. So I'll be back. I've picked all of my covers, the ones that I do want. I've decided initially, anyway, to go with 4 covers, 4 signatures, like so. I may yet do a 5th. It just all depends on how the story unfolds. So for now, I'm going to do 4, but it might be more a bit later on. Then all I've done is literally picked my papers and folded them up. Now, I had a bit of a dilemma at the beginning because when I started to do these and do the other side, this page here is a double piece on one page. But it didn't matter how I put it in the journal, it wasn't going to be together. Now, you do have the option of just ripping around the edges and taking each sheet out and then adding it onto the front or, onto your pages like so. But what I thought I would do is I'm going to just pop it onto there. So I'm going to glue this side down and then I'm going to have this as a flip out. And I'm going to do it that way because it'll give me a bit more journal space as well, because I want to do that. So what I've done is I got a piece that was printed, but I didn't put it through my printer to do it on double side. So I've just got another piece here and I'm just going to glue that one down to this side here. And then on the back, I'll have a flip out as well. So that's how I'm going to do the beginning of my signature. And then all I've done is sort through my papers with the way that I want it, and I'm going to pop that into there. Now, I have decided, because it's going to be more of a writing journal with a story to it, I want to add a few more extra pages. So I'm going to put in some extra pages. I normally put in, for a normal journal, I normally put in anything between 10 and 15 for, no, probably not 15, but I do tend to put in about 10 to 12 pages in each journal. Now, I don't want this one to be so thick. Now this one, I just want to fold these. This is quite flimsy paper, this yeah. It's just so that I can have a wider strip at the end. And then I think I've got some copy guide and some graph paper here, which I'll do the same for those. And it just gives me some added extra journal space into my journal. So these will need cutting down, and I do actually know what size my papers are. So how many will that give me? That will give me 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the flip out, which will be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'll add another copy paper, I think, into that. So that will give me 12 pages in my first journal. Now, I probably won't do 12 in all of them. Again, it all will depend on how the story unfolds and what you need to get sorted into your journal. So what I'm going to do is I know what size because I've been cutting them down all day. So I just need to cut that off there. And then I just need to take off a little smidge at the top and a little smidge at the bottom, which would have been my white border on my initial pages. I don't know why. So I'm just going to add these throughout my journal. Obviously the front one I want to keep. Now I could have used like a coffee dyed sheet or something there. You didn't need to use your printed sheet to do that because you're just going to be using it for the one side. So you can use whatever, but I've chose to do that now, so I'm going to do that. So that's that one. I think then we will definitely have that. And then I want some sort of different papers in the middle. So we'll do one and then one of these. One. Dyed. This one. And that one. And then that's my middle piece. So I'm probably going to put that into there. So that will give me my journal. Now I will need to trim the edge down when that is sewn into there. Oh, I probably don't need to actually. Well, maybe. Probably don't need to actually. Probably could get away with it. Yeah, I could. I'll get away with that cover. So they're ready to be sewn in. Now it does suggest in the write-up that you don't sew them in, but I'm probably not going to add any papers in. If I wanted to add anything to this now, I would cut it out and add it in that way. Anything that comes from the kit. But you know, if you prefer not to, then that's fine. So that's my signature, and I'm going to do the others all in the same way. I'm going to need a spine. Now, because I might be putting 4, maybe 5 signatures in, you're going to need a spine that is fairly wide. I've got a piece of card here, which is the same as this, and it's the same height. So I'm going to use this. So what I'm going to do is how I'm going to work it out is I need a 1/4 inch at the beginning, and then that will be my first one. So if I put that on my ruler, let's see if we can work it out without me having to cut. So I want a 1/4 inch gap there, and I want a 1/4 inch gap at the other end. So then I want one signature there and then a gap, one signature there and then a gap, one signature there and then a gap, one signature there and then a gap. So I'm putting a signature every 1/2 inch. And if I make it wide enough to fit 5 signatures but don't end up putting 5 signatures in, I could always use the middle to put like a file folder, which is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I still want to be able to put 5 in if I choose to. So that would be there, and then that would be my bend. So I'm going to actually go with a 3 inch spine because it'll give me options later on down the line. So I want to cut this at 3 inches. So I'm going to line it up on my board. and then I'm going to cut it at 3. I'm just going to draw the line down and line that up, and then I'm just going to get my knife. I'll get my new one. So I'm going to get my knife, and then I'm just going to just slowly but firmly cut through there. Now when you do this, people tend to think you really need to press hard, and the best way to get it to work properly is if you just glide it through. So you're using a little bit of pressure, but not much. You know, you're not sort of forcing the event. That should be enough now. There we go. Okay, so there we've got our 3-inch spine, and that's how I tend to work it out. Now we're going to cover it, so those markings don't really matter. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, that may come into something at a later date. Let me pop that away because that's dangerous, just for me anyway. So we're now ready to give it a cover, and so I'm going to lay my fabric out. I have got too much here. What you want is you want about 1 inch this side, 1 inch at the top, and 1 inch at the bottom. Now this fabric did cut skew with when I first cut it. It wasn't great for ripping, but I managed it in the end. I'm going to get rid of those because it'll affect my look of the book. It will hold it in. Okay, so we're going to glue these ones in. You can always use this bit of cut off in a minute, and I'll show you how to get your gap. So we're going to put the first piece on first, and I'm just going to use glue stick. Now I tend to use glue stick for all my fabric covers, and the reason I do, people sometimes say, oh, glue stick, I wouldn't trust that. But to be honest, I've never ever had a problem using glue stick. I'm just going to give it a good old glue all the way. Make sure everything is covered. Absolutely everything. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it over. Got a bit of glue on there. Just wipe that up. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to place it down. So I want about 1 inch at the bottom, 1 inch at the side, and 1 inch at the top. A little bit more that way, so we'll just level it up. Just look at that image. That's fine. Okay, just pull that out. Doesn't look level, does it? It's not, that's why. And this is the beauty of glue stick, is that you can lift it back off. Yeah, that's still too high up there. It's because I'm not stood over it. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go there. No, I'm not. So I'm going to go about there. That'll give me a better coverage there. Okay. And don't worry if you're slightly off, like I'm a little bit off this end than I am this end, but I just wanted to get that straight. Just check the front cover. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now we're going to do the spine. I just want to burnish that on before I do that. Just going to burnish this on first. You've got a little bit of time as well with a glue stick. So I'm just going to do the cover for this. Cover it all in glue. Okay, now if you really want to get it exact, pop this there, right up against there, and then butt this up. Make sure your fabric is taut. Butt this up, lay that down, make sure that you've got it equal top and bottom, and that will give you the exact line that you need down there, the exact gap for the thickness of your board. It has to be from the board though that you're using. Well, I find that it does. Okay, and then you're going to do exactly the same with this one. So I'm just going to pop this on, glue all that down. So you use whatever glue that you usually use. I just like this glue because you don't really get any seepage. It takes a little to dry properly, thoroughly, but it gives you wiggle room. It gives you non-seepage. Do the same with this again, sorry. Gives you non-seepage. So hold that right against the edge of your spine. Turn your board over and butt that up right to the edge of there. Okay, take that out. And I'm going to turn it over. And I'm just going to press all that in. Okay, burnish it. Okay, now I'm going to cut this edge off rather than rip it because I don't want to overly stretch. So I'm just going to cut off about 1 inch past that last board. Okay, so that's what it should look like at the moment. I don't like these straggly bits being in my way, because if you get that underneath, it'll show through your cover. Yeah, perfect. Then we're going to cut off each corner and then I'm going to leave a gap. If you want to do it with this, you can. Pop it on the edge and then just trim your line across there. You're just leaving just a small amount of gap here. Now I'm probably going to be putting what are they called? Book corners on this one. So I'm not too fussed, but I still want to get it right. So I'm going to cut that one off. So cut off all your 4 corners. Okay. And then we're going to do this part. Now I like to do the top first. So I'm just going to do about 1 inch on this corner, about 1 inch on this corner. I want to get some glue on that corner as well because you need it for covering over. So I'm just going to get it in the middle and I'm going to pull it down, and not too hard, but I'm just going to pull it down so that it's straight, and then I'm going to do the rest. And I'm not too worried, a bit worried that that writing isn't level. But we're going to go with it. Okay. Burnish that down. And then I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to do this side. Exactly the same way. just about an inch all the way down, making sure that you've got some glue in that corner mark there. Okay, in the middle, just lay that down. We've not got enough glue there. Okay, lay that down and just, I don't want to pull it. I'm getting glue all over me. I don't want to pull it, but to make it taut, but I want to make it flat. Okay, I don't want any ripples in it. So I just want to feed that into place. I'll just burnish that a minute, and then I just want to turn it over to make sure. Yeah, that's fine. There's no ripples in it. And you haven't pulled it over taut, but you do want it slightly taut. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to get your bone folder and you're just going to pull that in where that glue is. Pull that corner in. Push that corner in. Turn it round. Do the same with this one. Pull that corner in. Okay, do the same with this. I probably didn't leave enough space actually. So just be mindful that you need it to be 1 or 2/8 of an inch. You're better off going bigger if you've never done it before. Because if you try and do it like I have, with a smaller amount, you may not have enough. We'll see how that goes. So now we're going to do these side pieces. So you want to come over your fabric because it's going to go over your fabric. And then you're just going to make that come down into that corner. From the middle. Again. And then just bring that in. Don't worry if you've got glue on your fabric because this glue dries quite clear. I just don't want any frayed bits because this is a very linen-y type material. Same on this one. Just get a bit of glue on your fabric. Come down about an inch. Same on this one. Make sure that you've got enough. And then over into the middle. And then just roll your fabric over. Okay, roll your fabric over. I'm actually going to cut those bits off. I've got the big scissors. I want to cut these bits off because it's going to show through my other material. Should have done this beforehand, really. Okay. Get rid of my rubbish. Okay, so now we've got that in. What we also want to do, just move my glue, is I just want to push this down into those gaps. Just a little bit, just to guide it through. And then if you bring those up, that material will sit like so. And that'll be your front cover. Now I might decide to recover my spine in a different colour. I don't know yet. I'll have to see what I can find. But I will cover all of that because I'll be doing videos throughout the journal making process. And obviously throughout each of the 5 weeks. So what I've decided to do in the middle, where's my other piece? Here's my other piece. This was some tea dye that I got off Temu. It's just tea dyed linen. And I just loved the way that it had, see that fits perfectly there. Yeah, I am. I'm definitely going to do that. But I want to cut that off first, don't I? Do I want to cut it or do I want to rip it? The trouble with this is if you rip it and it goes skew width. Oh, we've done it now. Close your eyes. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. I don't mind the fact that you might be able to see some of those edges. And this edge here is, see, I love that. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, I've got a bit of glue on there. Let me cover it on the other side. Okay, so we're going to do exactly the same now with the glue stick. And I'm just going to add that in. And I'll just do the cover. And get it down into there as well. And then we do the outer edge. I just don't like the seepage value from the Fabri-Tac. I've used Fabri-Tac in the past. I've used all different glues to do this. And to be honest, this is the best glue that I found to do the material without seepage. But I mean, if you've got a method and you want to stick to that, that's perfectly fine. You have to do whatever suits you best. I don't mind if it's a little bit over. In fact, I want to pull that up a little bit more. That's the front. Okay, so just make sure it's in the right place. The beauty of this as well is if you don't get it in the right place the first time, you can lift it up and it will still glue. Then lift it back and just pull it back a little bit to where your glue was initially, and then just redo that bit. So I'm just going to do the spine bit next. I do want some glue in that gap as well. And then pull that down into the middle and then out to the sides. Make sure you've still got it level all the way down. If you've got any bits that you want out, so make sure there's no creases on your edges. Perfect. So just move that up a little bit. Fine. Same again for your last bit of cover. Over your fabric, out to your edge. And into the middle. Okay. That should be plenty now. Plenty there. Just any bits off your material because they will poke through. You know, they'll leave a bump is what I mean. Taut it a little bit, not too much. Out to your edge and then do that. Okay. Just going to go over that. Now it's a bit lower down on this end here, so I'm just going to pull that back. I'm just going to pull that up a little bit so that it's, just make sure you've got no creases. There we go, that's much better. Got a little bit of an overhang there, but I don't mind it. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go in on this line here and then do the same on this side here. Let's see where you've got your creases. There we go. So that when you bring it up, you've got none of this bubble here. If you have, just smooth it out and go back in. Because you want that flat as possible. Just going to go in with my nail so that I can flatten that piece down. There we go. A little bit there. Okay. And then these parts here will be slightly wet with glue. That's normal. It's because I put glue inside there so that the material would stick together when you do this. It just gives it a nicer finish, I should say. Okay, so you've got a little bit hanging over here, but I don't mind that. Perfect. So we've got our 3-inch spine. Make sure all your material is glued down. I've got a piece here that's slightly out, or not glued I should say. So I'm just going to run a bit of glue in there and just get those edges down. If you want them to be loose, then just don't go to all of the edges. And there you've got your perfect cover to start with. Okay, so I'm going to leave my cover to dry flat, only because I've got this little issue here where the material was bumping. So I've just put another little bit of glue in there, I flattened it out, and I've just creased inside there. So I'm going to leave it flat, and that should alleviate that issue. So I think I'm going to leave it there for today. The video's probably been going on long enough. But we've done quite well. We've done our cover. We've done, gone through a few options of the way to do our signatures and what we want to prepare for those. And so I hope you can take something from that. If you're not doing a hard cover and you want to do a soft cover or a different type of cover, then do go and check out the inspiration videos that are listed down below. It covers sort of all different types of journal covers for you. And it'll give you some idea about what it is that you want to try and achieve. So hopefully that will have been of some use to you. Thanks so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. Come over and support Mandy. She will be posting a video as well, and she will be doing one every week and giving you ideas and thoughts into what you want to put into your journals. And I will be doing the same. So, yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.